You got two pairs in case one. Okay. Here we go. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sarvajikacharya Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sarvajikacharya Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavindra Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. So we'll be reading text 4 of chapter 9 on page 382 tonight. Make sure everyone has books. We have some more books. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'm sorry? I didn't? We did 9.3 yesterday. Maharaj did yesterday. I'm sorry, don't say. What, say again? He gave class on Sloka 3, so I'm giving class on Sloka 4. No? I know, but it's too much, because then we have to go, yeah. At the end of the chapter, I'm going to read that whole verse and purport again. Sorry. Yeah, it's too much. Text 4, page 382. Okay? Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 18th day of June 2024 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge, text number 4 on page 382. Maya tatam idam sarvam. Maya tatam idam sarvam. Jagad avyakta murtina. Jagad avyakta murtina. Mat stani sarva bhutani. Mat stani sarva bhutani. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. Matstani sarva bhutani. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. Matstani sarva bhutani. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. Matstani sarva bhutani. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. Chant. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. Matstani sarva bhutani. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. Tapas, you go. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. Matstani sarva bhutani. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. Chad, go ahead. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. Matstani sarva bhutani. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. Nelson, you want to try? Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. Matstani sarva bhutani. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. David, go ahead. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. Matstani sarva bhutani. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. Ladies? Maya tatamidam sarvam Jagadavyaktamurtina Matstani sarva bhutani Nachaham teshvavastitaha Maya tatamidam sarvam Jagadavyaktamurtina Matstani sarva bhutani Nachaham teshvavastitaha. All right, word by words. I'll read it myself, read along silently. Maya, by me, tatam, pervaded, idam, this, sarvam, all, jagat, cosmic manifestation, avyakta murtina, by the unmanifested form, matstani, in me, sarvabhutani, all living entities, na, not, cha, also, aham, I, teshu, in them, avastitaha, situated. Translation. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not perceivable through the gross material senses. It is said, Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grayam Indriyai Sevon Mukhe Jivadao Swayame Vasparatyadaha. Bhakti Rasamada Sindhu 1-234. Lord Sri Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, etc. cannot be understood by material senses. Only to one who is engaged in pure devotional service under proper guidance is he revealed. In the Brahma Samhita 538, it is stated, Premanjanat tudita bhakti vilochanena santak sadaiva didiyeshu vilokayanti. One can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, always within himself and outside himself, if one has developed the transcendental loving attitude towards him. Thus, for people in general, he is not visible. Here it is said that although he is all-pervading, everywhere present, he is not conceivable by the material senses. This is indicated here by the word avyakta murtina. But actually, although we cannot see him, everything is resting in him. As we have discussed in the 7th chapter, the entire material cosmic manifestation is only a combination of his two different energies, the superior spiritual energy and the inferior material energy. Just as the sunshine is spread all over the universe, the energy of the Lord is spread all over the creation, and everything is resting in that energy. Yet one should not conclude that because he is spread all over, he has lost his personal existence. To refute such an argument, the Lord says, I am everywhere and everything is in me, but still I am aloof. For example, a king heads a government which is but the manifestation of the king's energy. The different government departments are nothing but the energies of the king, and each department is resting on the king's power. But still, one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. That is a crude example. Similarly, all the manifestations that we see and everything that exists, both in this material world and in the spiritual world, are resting on the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The creation takes place by the diffusion of his different energies, and as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vishtabhyaham idam Krishnam. He is everywhere present by his personal representation, the diffusion of his different energies. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So, if we recall a few verses back, this knowledge is highly praised by Krishna himself in the second verse. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitramidamuttamam Pratyakshavagam Dharmyam Susukam Kartamavyam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. And then in the third verse, Krishna spoke about how important faith is. That if one doesn't have faith in this knowledge, then you cannot achieve the supreme goal. Ashradhana purushat dharmasyasapara aprapyamam navartante mrityu sangsara vartmani. So this is what's at stake here, is that if we can develop the faith in this knowledge and in the process that is dependent on the knowledge, then we can actually achieve the ultimate goal of human life, which will be explained throughout this chapter, especially the last verse. That is the essence of the confidential knowledge. This is the most confidential knowledge here, it said. Simply think of me, become my devotee, bow down to me, offer your homage unto me. Being connected to me in this way, you will certainly come to me at the time of death. So, in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says that there are basically three subject matters in all the Vedas, including the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and everything. There's these three subjects, three divisions of this ultimate knowledge. This is Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojana. And these actually apply to any field of knowledge, anything we want to accomplish. I give the example of, this to define, Sambandha is understanding who is God, the source of everything, what is this world, where do we fit in, and what are the relationship between those three. You see, Sambandha means relationship, ultimately. So that is not such an easy understanding. You have to approach the right source of knowledge to even have any hope of understanding those. Because God, Krishna, he reserves the right of not being visible. He only reveals himself to his devotees, and to the measure of their devotion, he reveals himself more and more. As explained in this verse, this famous verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Atakshi Krishna Namadi Nabhave Grayam Indriyai. So this defines the transcendental nature of Krishna. There's a word, there's a name for him. It actually has nothing to do with the Vrindavan Leela, which is so many names. But this is an important name, Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja. This word appears in the second chapter of the first canto. You know, Savai Pungsang Bododama Yato Bhakti Adhokshaja. That Adhokshaja means, simply put, the transcendental Lord, which means, if you look it up in the dictionary, beyond the reach of our mind and senses. Cannot be perceived by our ordinary sensory and mental functions. It's a very nice word. It has three elements, Adha, Aksha, Ja. Now, Ja is short for Janma. It means generated. And Aksha means the eyes, but in this case it stands in for all the senses. So, in ordinary life, like science, for instance, there's such a tremendous amount of scientific knowledge that's been accumulated over the years. How does it get accumulated? Well, with the senses, the eyes, the ears, and the brain, and the mind, a scientist, he observes the world, right? He observes some factor of it. And by observing, measuring, you come to some conclusions. Then you test the hypothesis, and it works again and again. So this is knowledge that's born of the use of your senses and your mind. This is not transcendental. Aksha Ja. So that is ordinary knowledge that we have. But Krishna is Adha Akshaja. He pushes all that down. In other words, he's beyond that kind of knowledge. That's the definition of transcendental. Beyond the range of material senses and mind. So how can we know such things? Here it says, Atta Shri Krishna Nam Adi, the name, form, qualities, and pastimes. That's what the Adi means, etc. Nabhave Grayam Indriyai, they cannot be understood by our ordinary senses, means they're transcendental. So how can we know? Only when that person reveals them, being pleased because we're devotees. You can't storm the battlements and find out everything about God or anything about God. He's revealing, it's all by revelation. Sevan Mukke, HG Dravida, when you begin serving him, beginning with the tongue, by chanting and by tasting prasadam. Swayam eva sparatyari, he reveals himself proportionally to the purity and intensity of your devotion. That's a very important principle. So that means that to progress in this path, we have to establish faith, because it's not going to be based on our own perception. We can only perceive so much. So this is where the spiritual master comes in, the acharya, and the revealed scripture. In this case, I like to point out that when we read the book of Srila Prabhupada, as he pointed out, you're actually associating with Krishna when you read this Bhagavad Gita. He's speaking here. If you have that faith, it becomes that much more powerful. Oh, Krishna himself is telling me over the centuries the same knowledge, you see. But also, we're getting the association in the most important way of the pure devotee, the great acharya, who can speak to us just where we're at. Prabhupada wrote these purports for the modern reader, especially the Western reader. He wrote in English, right? And so, but whatever language, translated into so many languages, the idea is that by the knowledge and by beginning the process of devotional service, chanting and so forth, then Krishna will gradually reveal himself. And our faith will grow. You remember the previous verse, Ashradhana, if you don't have faith, you can't do anything. Even in this world, Prabhupada gives the example, I listened to so many lectures, of getting on a plane in LA to go to New York. You have to have faith that the plane will actually be okay and will take you to your destination, you'll arrive safely, right? Or the example, every day, millions of people are driving down here. They don't drive in the millions down Grand Avenue, but on many other Grand Avenues all over the country. And so you're driving, and there's the green light up there. And you put a little extra gas on, you want to try to make the light, right? So you're confident that this one, perpendicular, is red, right? Your favorite. The lights are working and everything is working. Otherwise, you can't do anything. So faith is incredible in our ordinary life. We take it for granted. But especially in here, because we're dealing with things that can't really be confirmed by our senses. So we have to have that faith. And what's wonderful about the process of Krishna consciousness, as given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is that if you simply have enough faith to take part in the basic process of chanting, then that will be rewarded with some kind of experience. So many people have come to the temple on Sunday, and they don't know quite what to expect. It's their first time. If you ask how many people here for the first time, there's always a couple of, people here. So that means that they've built enough faith to come and be, as Maharaj was saying, it's kind of an interest. Prabhupada says the preliminary faith is kind of respect. There's something there that may be interesting, let me go check it out. You see? So then if what you experience there is a meaningful experience and you have your book and then you can pursue that, come back again, and eventually be inspired to take up the process. I remember when I was coming first, eventually I took it up 2 rounds a day. Okay, I'm going to take 2, and they said you have to be really determined, okay, I'm going to do it, And I did it 2 rounds a day. So 2 rounds a day is not that much, but it's something, and it's enough, at least in my instance, I think most devotees can show how Krishna, pushed me around in this way. And oftentimes it's some difficulty in your life that you take, you chant and you find some relief in the anxiety and so forth, and you realize that there's really something there. And that pushes you to the next step, to 4 rounds or whatever, whatever it is that you need. So this is a measure of like an increase in faith, and the faith is sustained by your own experience. This is an important point. So that, and as Maharaj was explaining, this is an essential first step in the path or the ladder from faith to love, from Shraddha to Prema. This is another verse, 2 verses actually, in Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is quoted, I always forget the purport, it's in the Bhagavad Gita. So it starts out, Adhau Shraddha, beginning with Shraddha. Now this isn't pure faith, but this is preliminary faith, interest, respect. That enough to bring you into the association of devotees. Now in this age, with so many media, beginning with the books, but we have the internet and everything, you may be in a remote corner of the United States or the world, but somehow or other you heard about Hare Krishna, a friend gave you a book or something, and you want to check it out. What else? Google Hare Krishna. And if you do that, you're going to go to many sites you can go to. That's also a step forward into association. Now, don't get me wrong, there's no substitute for personal association, but oftentimes that's a very important factor. I think there are people listening now in remote corners of the United States or even Canada who are far from a temple, but they are regular students. They write me sometimes. Hare Krishna, whoever you are. This is the camera. So, Adhau Shraddha. Now, it's nice to go through this, because this is a very important set of verses in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And we can also see our own life. Yes, I became interested in this. Somehow or other, I got a contact, and I tried it out, and now I'm getting something from it, and I'm going to keep doing it. So, Adhau Shraddha, beginning faith. Then, Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha. The faith will bring you into the association of devotees. And what happens in the association of devotees? You're going to hear about Krishna. That's in this, I can't resist, Sadhu Sangashtaka. Within the Bhagavatam, there is it happens to be 8 verses, so it's not officially named that. I gave it the name. But in the teachings of Kapila Dev to his mother, Devahuti, 3rd canto, begins chapter 25. That's where the teachings begin. And the 20th verse of that chapter describes the importance of transferring our attachment from material things to the sadhus. It makes all the difference. So he starts out with this, the very word prasanga. Now prasanga means intense attachment or intense association. Pra is an intensified. Prasangam adadam pasham atmanakkabayo vidu saeshu sadashu krito moksha dwaram aparvatam. Moksha dwara means the door of liberation. So he's saying that every learned person, Kavi, understands that one has to transfer his attachment, prasangam ajadam pasham, these tight knots of attachment, from prasangam ajadam pasham, atmanak kaviyo vidu, from material things to the sadhu. Kaviyo vidu. Saesha sadhu shukato. Moksha dwaram aparvatam. It opens the door to liberation. So the next question, if someone's sincere, is, okay, well, where do I find the sadhus? Who are sadhus? What's the description? So he has 2 or 3 verses describing that. So this is one of the most famous ones in the series. Titikshava karunika suridak sarvadehinam ajata shatravak shantha sadhavak sadhubhushana. So this is how you describe, these are like ornaments of a sadhu. The first is tolerance. Tolerance. We're just studying Prahlad Maharaj's pastimes, with his father, Hiranyakashipu and the Shringadev in the morning. So he's the perfect example of a sadhu, even at 5 years old. So Titikshava and Karunika means full of mercy, full of compassion. So this is characteristic of all sincere preachers of Krishna consciousness. Those who take austerities and risks to spread the science, knowing that this is what the Lord wants most of all, and that this is really the only hope for people in the world. Hare Krishna, welcome. So we need another book. No, you have a Gita, you have a Krishna book. All right. Yeah, don't put the Krishna book on the place where you sit. You can put it up right behind you. See right behind you? Actually, there's a book up there already. Right up there. Gita is waiting for you. Okay, we're good. Yeah, all right, very good. So, where were we? The description of a sadhu, and this is very important because this is how the science of bhakti really passes on. From the sadhus, who are, all of the acharyas, the real genuine gurus, are sadhus. They have these qualities. So, very tolerant, very compassionate. I don't know if you have the page, 382? It's actually, okay. Suridak sarvadehinam. How do they express that? By actually being the best friend of all living beings. And Prabhupada makes the point in the lectures on this, not just human beings. No meat eating, very kind, even reluctant to just kill an insect if it's not necessary. So that's important. You see the soul in every living being, and that soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So you don't do any harm, and if possible, you do good, especially for human beings where you can spread the science. Suridak, Krishna claims he is the best friend, but those who follow Krishna, they can also become the best friend of everyone. Ajata Shatravad. Because of being that way, then you have no enmity toward anyone. Others may see you as an enemy, but you don't see anyone else as an enemy. Just like Prabhupada gives the example of Jesus Christ. Ajata Shatravad. And because of all this, Shanta. You're very peaceful. Because you're not competing with anyone for material goods. You're trying to help everyone. And so we can see in Prahlad, a perfect sadhu, even his father was tormenting him, trying to have him killed. He was simply meditating on Krishna. He wasn't perturbed at all. You see? Hare Krishna, welcome. Here, in the lady side, if you could. We have a book for you and everything. Page 380. There you go. That's okay. You didn't make any mistake. You're all right. So he's continuing. Suridaksara, Ajatashak Shanta, Sadhavak Sadhabhushana. These are the ornaments. These are kind of the character ornaments of a sadhu. Now, how did he get that way? Because it doesn't describe any bhakti in there. You know, that's the next verse. Kapila Deva is speaking. Kapila Deva is a recognized incarnation of Krishna. So he's saying, Maya Nanyena Bhavena Bhaktim Kurvanta Yedvidham. Yatkute Chakta Karma Matkute Chakta Karmanas Chakta Swajana Bandhava. So he's saying, My Ananyena Bhavena Bhaktim, by such sadhus they render unbroken service to me. My Ananyena Bhavena Bhaktim Kurvanta Yedvidham, with great determination. And then he gives an example of what that implies. Matkute Chakta Karmanas. For my sake, they may give up any activity that's not in the bhakti program. Just like if you want to join this temple, for instance, you know, serious. Then you say, okay, but you got to give certain things up. No meat eating, no illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, no rock music, on your iPhone or whatever. There's a whole bunch of things you have to give up, and then there's other things you have to accept, Otherwise, you can keep practicing at home, keep coming to class. So that's the thing. Matkute Tikta Karma, they give up, for my sake, give up any practice that's not necessary. And if the friends, family, and so forth are an impediment to your devotional service, then you withdraw from that association. Because the whole thing is the good association. So then what? The second part. Marashriya katam rishta shinvanti katayanti cha. Tapandi bhavadastapa nayatadman gata chetasa. So then he says, and they love to hear and chant words and shlokas about me, Marashriya. Those sounds which have taken shelter of me. It's a metaphor. Marashriya kata mrishta, which is very attractive. I'll give you a sample. Bilva Mangal Thakur wrote a book called The Krishna Karnamrita. It's quite an advanced book. Lord Chaitanya loved that book. When he went to South India, he had it copied and brought it back with him, along with Brahma Samhita, to Jagannath Puri, and it became circulated. It's an essential part of the Gaudiya Vaishnava canon now. So that book is full of such beautiful verses. So here's one sample you can hear. And the Sanskrit is so beautiful, you can do so much with the chanda, the meter, So it's maduram, maduram, vapadasya vibhor. Maduram, maduram, vadanam, maduram. Madugandhi mridusmitameta, the whole. Maduram, 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 maduram. Anyone can learn this verse. Sweet, sweet, I put it into a poem. Sweet, sweet is my dear Lord's form. Sweet is still his face so fair. But his honey-scented, gentle smile is sweet beyond compare. When the curtains open, you can remember that verse and look at Giridhari, Krishna. So this is the katamrishta. This is the delightful sounds that the sadhus love to hear and chant. You see, always staying Krishna conscious. And because of that, because they're always absorbed in that way, and this is again perfect example of Prahlad, then even the ordinary pains that come with living in the material world, they don't impinge so much on the consciousness. They're in the transcendental space. You see, they can tolerate so much. Tapandi vidastapa naitadman gata chetasa, because their mind is given to me, they don't feel the suffering in this world so much. They're always absorbed in these things. And so then he says, Tayete sadhavak sadvi, Taye sadhavak sadvi, I forget the Sanskrit, but he's speaking to his mother. So Sadvi, she's a female saint, a female sadhu, see Sadvi already. This is who you should associate with, because by that association, you will destroy the sangha dosha, the faults that have come from bad association. It's just like a disease, you know. We knew during the pandemic, you know, we got to watch out who we're in a room with without those masks, right? Because by that association, you're going to get sick. So the same thing is there. You can catch Krishna consciousness, which is very wholesome, or you can catch Maya from associating with. So, who we associate with is so important. So she said to his mother, "Oh, you should associate with those people because then that will negate the bad effects of previous bad association." This is also in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. And then comes perhaps the most memorable verse in the whole Ashtaka. Satam prasangan. Here's the same word prasangan as he started with, but the other one was very intense bad association. This is very intense good association. Satam prasangan mama virya sambido bhavanti ritkana rasayana kata tadjoshanarashvapavarga vartmani shraddha rati bhakta anukramishati. Notice that word shraddha is there. That's what the theme here in the previous verse. So Satam prasangan, by association with sadhus. Now, this is what this is all about. You come here. I'm not much of a sadhu, but I'm reading Prabhupada's book. We're getting Prabhupada's association. So, Mama, what will you hear? Kapila says you're going to hear talks about me. Mama virya sambido, my activities. This is Kapila Dev's been. And what is the result of that? Bhavanti rit karna rasayana kada. It acts as a life-giving elixir. Rasayana for the heart and for the ear. It's so pleasurable, see? Ritkana Rasayana Kata, about Krishna. And then what, going on, Tadjoshanad, applying this process, the next verse says, the easiest form of yoga, meeting together, reading Prabhupada's books, chanting Hare Krishna, and then taking prasad. Does it sound like, it's not like going to the Himalayas, you know, and sitting like this, but it has a much better effect. And it's practical for us, and you can achieve the ultimate goal of life. No more birth and death, go back to Godhead, to join Krishna. So this verse continues. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkana rasayana kata tadoshan asu abhavarga vartmani. Quickly, on this path of liberation, abhavarga vartmani, you develop, and we're back to Shraddha. Your Shraddha is increased, your faith in the process, because you're directly experiencing. Shraddha ratir bhaktu anukramishati. Step by step, your faith is deepened, your attraction for Krishna, and finally your love, bhakti anukramishati. This is the essence of Lord Chaitanya's movement. And what is that most important, sadhu sangha, and the practice is Sankirtan. Is that I chant, you hear, you chant, I hear the holy name, we dance, and we glorify the Lord, and stay absorbed, and all of the qualities are there, you know. So that was Srila Prabhupada's process, you know. He would invite people to come, chant, hear, lecture, take prasadam, you know, and continue that way. And that's the way the movement started, and it's still growing that way. So back to our verse here. Krishna is giving us some instruction on the sambandha. Krishna said, Mayatatamidam sarvam. I'm pervading everything by my energies and by my expansion. He's in every atom and every heart by the super soul. And all of these energies, earth, do I need to mention that? You can know the earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. 7th chapter. These are the building blocks of what we see around us. Our very bodies. So that's Krishna's energies. These are Krishna's energies. But this is the lower energy. But you should know there's a superior energy, which is all the jivas, the living entities. We're all sitting in here, maybe it's, well, quite a few, maybe 12, 15. So that's all, we're all spirit souls in the same. But we all have different bodies because we all have different karma and everything like that. But we're one in that we're all part and parcel of Krishna, we're servants of Krishna. And so awakening that and living in that reality, trying to serve Krishna with our senses, it purifies. The whole thing is purification. That's what this is all about. What is that? Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunoi Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Kadayudoi. Very important verse by Lord Chaitanya. Again, the teachings to Sanatana Goswami. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, the eternal perfection of Krishna Prema, love for Krishna, is dormant in everyone. We all have that within our heart.
Sadhya is not something that comes from outside. Sadhya, in this case, sadhya means something you bring outside. You already have it. It's just been covered for many, many eons. Sadhya kapo noi. No. Shravanadi shuddha chitte. The whole process is there. Shravana, hearing, etc. Chanting, remembering, etc. Shravanadi shuddha chitte. The heart, the consciousness becomes purified. Sound familiar? Cheto darbana marjanam. That's the first benefit of chanting together. It naturally awakens because it's already in there. We already have it. We just have to uncover that invaluable jewel, and we can we can be happy anywhere without anything. You know, even though we may be materially diseased or not, or in poverty-stricken, or inevitably things happen as in the material world, but you can still have that core of Krishna consciousness, and you can be blissful even in that state. And so then your faith is no question. It's not a faith anymore. You have experience. You're absolutely sure. And then you're at the point of pure faith, what Lord Chaitanya has again in his instruction to Sanatana defined as real faith. Maharaj mentioned this: Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Korhe Sudridhanesh Joy Krishna Bhakti Korle Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. The ultimate definition of faith is that complete conviction cannot be weakened or doubted. Shraddha Shabda Sudridha Nishchoy, that just by the practice of Krishna consciousness, according to the Shastra and the Sadhus and the Acharya, then all my aspirations will be fulfilled. That will be the perfection of my life. That is what I need to do. That's the central thing. That's real faith. So, Krishna is now, he's speaking about himself, that he is present everywhere through his energies and his expansions, and I'm in everyone, but everyone is not in me. Everyone is in me. Matstani sarvabhutani nitaham daishtrabhastataha. But I am not situated in them. Means that he is in the spiritual world, and through his expansions, he's present. And that's the way, you know, but in terms of himself, you know, he has his activities in the spiritual world as well, which we can also experience ultimately. So, I don't know, maybe I went too long. Any questions, comments, objections? Your objection will be sustained. All right, let's go on. Nachamatstani bhutani, text 5, page 383. Nachamatstani bhutani. Pashyame yogamaishwaram bhuta bhrinnacha bhuta sto mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. Purport. The Lord says that everything is resting on Him. Matstani sarvabhutani. That's the last verse. This should not be misunderstood. The Lord is not directly concerned with the maintenance and sustenance of this material manifestation. Sometimes we see a picture of Atlas holding the globe on his shoulders. He seems to be very tired holding this great earthly planet. Such an image should not be entertained in connection with Krishna's upholding this created universe. He says that although everything is resting on him, he is aloof. The planetary systems are floating in space, and this space is the energy of the Supreme Lord. That's the ether. But he is different from space. He is differently situated. Therefore, the Lord says, although they are situated on my inconceivable energy, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am aloof from them. Close quote. This is the inconceivable opulence of the Lord. In the Nirukti Vedic dictionary, it is said, Yujjate nena durgateshu karyeshu. The Supreme Lord is performing inconceivably wonderful pastimes, displaying His energy. Close quote. His person is full of different potent energies, and His determination is itself actual fact. This is called Satya Sankalpa. His person is actual fact. In this way, the personality of God is to be understood. We may think of doing something, but there are so many impediments, and sometimes it's not possible to do as we like. But when Krishna wants to do something, simply by His willing, everything is performed so perfectly that one cannot imagine how it is being done. The Lord explains this fact. Although He is the maintainer and sustainer of the entire material manifestation, He does not touch this material manifestation. Simply by His supreme will, everything is created, everything is sustained, everything is maintained, and everything is annihilated. There is no difference between His mind and Himself, as there is a difference between ourselves and our present material mind, because He is absolute spirit. Simultaneously, the Lord is present in everything. Yet the common man cannot understand how He is also present personally. He is different from this material manifestation, yet everything is resting on Him. This is explained here as Yogam Aishwaram, the mystic power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is one of the inconceivable aspects that you have to kind of believe and try to understand how, just like when Krishna, you all know the story, when he was in Mathura, he had killed Kamsa, and then Kamsa's wives were widows now. They were daughters of Jarasandha, another big demon, right? So they went back and said, oh, now, this is what happened. So he became infuriated, so he said, I got to go kill that Krishna. So he put the whole Mathura at siege. He had this huge army, right? So Krishna comes out of the city with his brother Balaram, and he invokes the chariot. They come down from the sky. You remember that? And he's got his personal chariot and driver. Balaram has his, and they have a small squad. And Jarasandha has all many Akshohanis and elephants and horses and that. And all of the residents of Mathura said, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? They're up and watching the whole thing. And so then Krishna starts shooting the arrows, and it's just like a devastation, Balaram. And everyone gets killed. And all the elephants and everything, they're all sent back to Godhead by getting killed by Krishna. And there's Jarasandha. He's left, so he's kind of depressed. So they arrest him, and then Krishna says, no, let him go. And he go back, because he knew he would go back to the city, and he would bring another army. So 17 times he comes with the army, 17 times, because he annihilates, So then eventually the two armies, right, invade. The, what is his name? Kaliya? Someone help me out. I forget his name. He's a Yavana, Kalyavana. Brings his army, millions and millions invade at the same time as Jarasandha. So Krishna says, oh boy, this is dangerous. We may take care of Jarasandha, but the other army will invade, So at that point, he takes all the residents out and he evacuates them, and then he has the Dwarka created as a refuge. So that's how the Dwarka comes up. So this is, who can conceive how that's being done? Krishna is, and then he marries all these queens, 16,108, and he's there in every palace with each queen. He's expanded himself, right? So this is not ordinary. No human being can do like that. So this is Krishna's incredible power and energy. And so it's a similar thing here. He's simultaneously there in Goloka Vrindavan, just enjoying his eternal Leela, but at the same time, he manifests, on a certain schedule on the earthly planet, and he has the pastimes, a replica of the pastimes in Vrindavan, And there's one verse describing how, what is that? I forget the Sanskrit, but he says, in order to enliven his devotees, Krishna appears and enacts his pastimes, so then someone will write about it and we'll be able to remember it better. And if you just see how fortunate we are, a mere 5,000 years ago, Krishna appears on this planet, or a planet like this, once every day of Brahma. And that day is 24 hours. Anyone remember approximately how long that is? 8,640,000,000 years. That's one day of Brahma in our time. So, but a mere 5,000 years ago, Krishna personally walked the earth. So how fortunate we are. And 500 years ago or so, he came again as Lord Chaitanya. That also was once in a day of Brahma. So we're very fortunate. We should take advantage of this. And this is one of the themes of the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Don't waste time. Realize the great treasure we have is the human form of life. Labdva sudurlabam idam bahusambhavante manusyamarta damanityamapi adhira turnam yateta napatena nomrityayavat nikshayasaya vishaya kalusarvatakshyat. I think Krishna speaks this verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Very favorite verse of Prabhupada's. Labdva, you have attained, sudurlabam, a very difficult to attain human form of life. Bahusambhavante, after many, many births. Manusham, human form. Manusham, which is artadam, which can give the ultimate arta, a valuable thing of this life, the sva arta, the real goal of the soul, not the superficial senses. Manusham artadam anityam apiyadiram. But like all forms, it's temporary. The clock is ticking. We only have so many minutes, hours, days, years left in each one of our bodies. So one has to be dhira, thoughtful and sober. And then with that thoughtfulness and soberness, what do? Turnam, immediately, without wasting any time. Yateta, strive. Turnam yateta napateta nomrityayavat. As long as the body hasn't fallen down and died, as long as you have life in the body, you should strive for it. Napateta nomrityayavat, strive for what? Nikshayasa, the ultimate good, which is, very simply put, escape from the bondage of birth, old age, disease, and death, samsara, and return back to our original position in the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. That's the ultimate goal. And it's feasible with the process given by Lord Chaitanya. So he said, Nikshayasaya Vishaya Karusarvataksa, because after all, think about it, all these Vishayas, these objects of sense, you've already enjoyed them in millions of material lives already. And what has it gotten you? Another birth, another death, you see? So there's no percentage in that. Percentage, I use that word advisedly, because we are all like investors. We're investing our energy, our time, our attention in things of this world, hoping to get some result, some education, some pleasure, or this or that. So if we know exactly what we can invest our time and energy into for our ultimate good, so we can regain our life of eternal bliss and knowledge, then we should make that investment. Even though at beginning there's some austerities because we're so habituated to the sense gratification. Yeah, that's part of it. But it's not that difficult. And Krishna helps. That the whole idea is that if you practice chanting Hare Krishna, you're associating with Krishna directly. And what does the very name Krishna mean? All attractive. He's attracting our mind, our heart, away from the sense gratification, which is after all poison. It's poison for the soul. I always like to point out that the word in Sanskrit for sense gratification is Vishaya. And what's the word for poison? Visha. It's not an accident that those words are so close. So sense gratification is poison. It's suicide. That's why our old friend, would you like to come in?
Oh, I was returning the book.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's why Rishabdev says to his sons, right off the bat, the first verse he says, Nayam deho deha bhajan niloke kashtan kaman adate vidbujangye topo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddye jismat brahma saukyam tvanantam. So here's a stark difference. It says, one who has attained the human form, Nayam deho deha bhajam nirloke. Nirloke is naraloke. Is a human being, you see? Nayam deha bhajam nirloke. Kashtan kaman, should not, the first word in the verse is na, nayam. Kashtan kaman, work very, very hard for sense gratification which is on the level of hogs. In other words, it's degrading for a human being. What should I do? Third line, tapo divyam putraka, O sons, you should practice divine austerity. Austerity that's not for becoming more powerful like Hiranyakashipu to enjoy and dominate, but rather purifying your mind, body, and soul. Tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddye, means your existence will become purified. What's the advantage of that? Yena shuddye yasmad brahma saukyam tvanantam. And then you will become eligible to be able to enjoy endless happiness, Brahman spiritual happiness. I put it into kind of a little poem. It says, don't waste this precious human life, dear friend, by working hard for hoggish happiness. Through bhakti yoga, worldly life transcend and learn to taste divine love's endless bliss. That's the choice we have, and that Srila Prabhupada has given us. Now, if we consistently make that right choice, we can, again, our life can be one of very much happiness and confidence that we can go back to Godhead. So I'll stop haranguing you. Any final comments or questions on these points? Oh, okay. So yes, sir. Oh, but wait, we have mics because there's people in the audience. Who can give them the mic? Right next to you. He's right there. Yeah, you go. Yeah. Give him the mic. Hold it up close for him. Hold it up close.
To be honest with you, I just wanted to keep listening a little bit, so let me come up with a question real quick.
Sure.
So, is everything that you're seeing right here, would you say, every single thing, no matter where you go, this book and everything else on the planet, part of the material world, is there anything that you can look at with your eyes? From the North Pole to the South Pole, East, West, all around, is there anything that represents or is connected to the spiritual world? That if you, like in the Christian tradition, they say something like, as above, so below, or as in heaven on earth. And
Absolutely. If you stay here another 5 minutes, those curtains will open. And when those curtains open, you'll see various forms of God on there. And those are based on Shastra that's describing what God looks like. And they're different forms, and it requires some explanation. But that's one thing. But not just seeing, why not hearing? Hearing is also an important sense. And this name of God, this Krishna and Rama and Hare, these are names of God. And because they're names of God, it's non-different from him. You can get the association and the power of that association from hearing the name and chanting it. And that's now, because we're so impure, we don't experience the full power of the name. But it's a process. And Lord Chaitanya taught, by that process of chanting Hare Krishna, together and also privately, we have a meditative, like a rosary, the heart and the mind, everything becomes purified. Chaito darpana marjanam, that's the word. And just by doing that, you can get liberation. Bhava Mahadavagni, the blazing fire of material life is extinguished. But that's just the beginning. Just getting free from birth and death is not our ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal is to return again to that state, that consciousness, which is full of bliss, full of knowledge, and eternal life. And so, yes, definitely, that is the whole idea of incarnation or avatar. How the Lord deigns to come down in one form or another. He comes as his name also, and personally, in order to, so that, because after all, we're all his children. Everyone's a child of God. You know, he claims that in the Bhagavad Gita. So he loves us, but we've gone astray and we're suffering like anything. So he comes periodically and he gives association, teaches the Bhagavad Gita, leaves his representatives, so that we can practice in such a way, purify our mind and senses, and perceive him in this very world. And ultimately, the great devotees, they see God everywhere. Yeah. If you see a tree, you know, what is that tree? Well, it's the body made of the earth, word of fire, you know, and the earth is in body. And within the tree is the soul. If it's a live tree, you know, it may not move or anything, but it means it's consciousness there, covered very much. So the pure devotees, they see God everywhere, because they see his energy, and they see the manifestation of the spiritual energy also. And so that's a very it's a good question, because that having access to be able to see and hear the Lord and feel his presence is a big part of what bhakti is about. So if you allow me, I'd like to share one little poem, because that's kind of my signature. So this is boy, we're running out of time, but I'll do it real quick. So he says, this is spoken by Lord Chaitanya Sanatana Goswami again. Kamadinam katina katita palitado nideshas tesham jata mayana karuna natsapano prashanti utsri jaitan hadiyatopate sampratam labdha buddhis tvamayata kshadanam abhayam mam nayung svatma dasye. In how many ways have I sought to obey the seductive demands of my wicked desires? They've shown me no mercy, yet on I've gone shamelessly trying to quench lust's unquenchable fires. But now I'm rejecting these hellish desires, for my higher intelligence now has awoken. O Krishna, O shelter of fearlessness, please let me serve you with faith that will never be broken. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari. If anyone wants my poetry, just write to me at Dravida108 Gmail. I'll send you a nice PDF, okay? Dravida108. All right. And we will resume on Monday with text 6.